Hi, I'm Rebecca and welcome to the Creabea Knitting podcast. Hello and welcome. My name is Rebecca. I'm a knitter and knitwear designer based in Edinburgh in Scotland, and this is a vlog or a podcast all about knitting, what I'm currently knitting on, what I've been knitting on, and what I'd like to cast on in the not too distant future. And as expected, as always, I've got a ridiculous amount of knitting to talk to you about today. We're in that like pre-sweater weather season where it's starting to feel like you could put on a sweater, but then you go outside and it is swelteringly warm, and you're sweating very quickly in said sweater. That is the stage Edinburgh is at least. Although it is raining right now, so maybe sweater weather is closer than I think it is. Something about that weather has me like knitting very frantically. I was talking about that last time, it's still the same. And today I've got a finished object, loads of works in progress, 2 new cast-ons and a bit of a silly acquisition. Just a funny little silly little acquisition. But before I jump into any of that, the exciting thing is that, well, it's exciting for me, is that it's my birthday. So it's actually tomorrow. I'm filming a day in advance, just so I can make sure this goes up on time. But I'm very excited to have a birthday sale running. So for the 26th, which is my birthday, and the 27th, the day after, you can use the code HAPPY29 to get 29% off any of my patterns on Etsy and on Ravelry. It'll close at like midnight British summertime on Sunday evening. And yeah, I'm sorry if you're watching this after those 2 days. I'll make sure to put a post on Instagram and on like the community pages on YouTube, so you should hopefully still see it, but sorry if it's later than that. So yeah, I gave everyone a bit of a warning it was coming, so if anyone's got their eyes on any patterns, it would be a good time to get one. And it'll be fun because my first pattern is launching, my first pattern of like this season will be launching in a week, so it's nice to kind of have like a whole year's worth of patterns in the sale, and then like my new patterns start next week. Don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I'm feeling. So yeah, I will link both below, Ravelry and Etsy, Happy29, and it is unsurprisingly my 29th birthday. I am doing a murder mystery party. It will be the 4th annual murder mystery party. I really love them. I started them 4 years ago, and it's mostly been with family with the exception of the year that I was in London, and they're so fun. They're from I put the link actually to the company below because I've used the same company every time. It's just a box that you get and it's only £20, and you can reuse the box. And this year's theme is Murder at the Pizzeria, and my character is Una Cornetto, the ice cream maker. And so apparently she wears lots of very bright clothing and lots of like chunky jewellery and fruit motifs. So I thought I'd show you what I've made. I will say the integrity of this is low because I picked it up to come and show it and some of my beads fell off, but I made this headband with a lot of hot glue. So that will be my, oh yep, see I lost an apple, just put it on my head. I made some earrings which I'm not going to show because I'm not convinced that they're going to just fall apart the moment that I pull the backs off, but that's fine. I made some watermelon earrings. Come on, there we go. So they're going to look so fun. These were like, I got all these beads, like all these fruit things from Amazon, and then I just hot glued them onto like ring backs, or like earring backs. I made a handful of rings. I'm just putting literally all of them on so I can show you right now. There's like a strawberry, a pineapple, some grapes, a lemon and a kiwi. And then like with the leftover beads I just made a little chunky little bracelet. So I'm super excited, it's gonna be fun. Like I say, we do it with my family and everyone gets pretty into it, which I think will be exciting. And this morning I was making, Sam is the artist, Michelangelo, and so I was making Michael's shirt this morning by covering an old shirt in like paint splotches. So yeah, I'm really excited, and that's tomorrow. So yeah, if you would like any of our patterns, it's a great time to get them. It's only going to be 48 hours, so take advantage of it while you can. And yeah, hopefully it should be quite nice because it's a quite like transitional period. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, you might want to get some cozy winter patterns, and if you are heading into summer, it might be a good time to get Tolsta or Corin, like a more lightweight pattern. So should I move on to the knitting since I've talked about my birthday enough? Because I'm wearing a finished object. This is my stick season sweater. I'm so excited it's finished. I have so much to say about this, but let me start with a rundown of the design. It is a drop shoulder pattern. It's inspired by Ganzi, so it has this like textured kind of broken rib stitch at the top. It has a ribbing detail that goes down either end, and okay, this is going to be so awkward to show, but I'm committed to the bit now. The ribbing detail runs up into the collar and runs all the way whoop, down the side. So yeah, it's like a heavy on the detail sweater for me, which I don't always do. Like, I feel like I consider details, but details are never usually like the focal point, and I feel like with this it kind of is. This is inspired by the Stick Season album by an artist called Noah Kahan, who I really love and I'm going to see twice, once in November and once in February, and I will be wearing a sweater, this sweater, and potentially the second sample to both of those outings. This version, so both of them are knit. I don't have the second one yet, but I have the yarn for the second one, and that yarn is Explorer Knits and Fibres in the colour Daybreak on Earthy DK, which is the non-superwash base. And about the yarn, firstly, I did not alternate skeins. I should have, like, I 100% should have alternated skeins. That was like a rookie error for me not to do. I didn't, and Ali is just that consistent. There are some like little bits where it's kind of darker, and I just think that adds so much character. I think it's really interesting. It's more visible on the arms than the body. There aren't really moments like that on the body, and I think the texture up here like really hides it completely. But I did not alternate skeins, and I don't think you would. I can't tell. So big props on that one. The second thing that I'm super impressed with is how it softened up after blocking. I would say before blocking, it just didn't have a lot of character. Like, it was just nice yarn. Like, it was soft and it was really nice to knit with, but there wasn't much like, yeah, character is the word I keep coming back to. And then I blocked it and it softened up so beautifully into this like drapey, yeah, I just love it. I'm super, super impressed. I know that they're currently working on the Spain collection, which is inspired by Ali's trip to Spain, and I'm pretty sure there's non-superwash in there, and if I was to get anything in that collection, which I honestly might, I'm awaiting the tonals. I'm not much of a very variegated girl. I might, if I was, I would 100% buy this base again. I'm super impressed. I'm wearing it with the t-shirt underneath at the minute, but I think you could wear this, like, it's definitely nice to skin soft. There's zero prickle factor, which I am just super impressed with. So this colour is Daybreak. I've also got a slices quantity in the colour Linen, which I'll be casting on pretty soon. First thing about this is that there is a tester call live. The tester call is going live right now. I'm saying this having I'm not ready for it, but I will be by the time the video is live. So if you would like to test this pattern, there's a link down below to sign up. It'll be open probably actually, I don't think I'm going to put it on Instagram until end of the weekend, so it'll probably be open till like Tuesday night or Wednesday. It's a really pretty straightforward knit. Like, there's nothing super challenging about this. A little bit of increasing and decreasing in pattern, picking up stitches, a little bit of short rows. There's some short row shaping in the sleeve. But yeah, I think if you've done any sweater before, like, this would be a nice like level up. I'd also really love to have some men test knit this, or people knitting for men. Just because I think it is like, I feel like all my patterns, yeah, literally every pattern I have does not have bust shaping, so they're all like, they would all work well for a range of bodies, and they don't necessarily fit a bust or like fit a chest in a certain way. But I do think that some designs, like the Lanark, which is my zippy sweater, benefits from like showing how it fits on men, and that is what I feel about this one. So I am still deciding if I'll be knitting the second sample for a man in my life or for me. I want it myself, but I think I should knit for a guy. I'm undecided on that one, but I do think that this would work really well for either. So I'll put a box in just saying, or I'll put a comment saying like, if you're knitting this if you're a guy, or if you're knitting this for a guy, let me know. Not to enforce any gender stereotypes, just to make sure that I've got a wide range of people of all genders knitting. So yeah, that is the Stick Season sweater. The second thing I wanted to mention is that I got a message from someone last week I was sharing this on Instagram and they were like, oh, this really reminds me of my sweater pattern. And I clicked through and there's another designer with a similar pattern. I mean, it's a traditional Gansey, so it's not uncommon to have like a stitch, like a texture on the top and then like simple on the bottom. And the details are definitely very different. They've got 1x1 rib, they like the ribbing detail or like this seam, faux seam isn't there and things, but like it's definitely a very similar pattern. Their samples also knit in a similar like reddy brown colour, so you see the samples and you're like, yeah, they're super similar. And yeah, I'll put the designer down below if that pattern's in a slightly different weight of yarn. I think it's in Cascade 220, which is a yarn I love. If you want to look at that one, like, you're obviously more than welcome to. I never know how to deal with this when it comes up. I think that in the world of knitting there are so many, like there are just so many designers, and it's just, I mean, I'm a new designer, there are more and more new designers, and people have been knitting for hundreds of years, so I think that it's pretty common that you're going to get people that are designing similar things at similar times, and you kind of just like celebrate the differences. But yeah, it's definitely tricky. I have more following than this designer. I think they've been around designing for about the same amount of time. I think maybe they have a few more patterns out than me. So it's tricky, like especially if you've got, say, a bigger following, you feel like you want to be taking advantage or like using that advantage to drown out another designer. On a similar note, there is a designer with a bigger following than me who's been doing it for a lot longer, who's making a sweater in a stitch pattern really similar to my Alder sweater, which is currently in testing. So it just happens, and I'm not really sure. You know, we had a chat about it, and I said, look, I will make an effort to draw attention to the detailing on mine that's different. I'll use the one that's got a different colour, I'll make the focal point so that they're not quite the same sweaters. But I sent the brief of the sweater to, I wrote up a brief, actually I sent it to one of my guy friends when I first spoke to Ali about collaborating, and this is design, like this sweater is explained in it, and I was trying to decide between this detail, I think I was trying to decide between this and the faux seam, and the end pattern's got this and the faux seam, but I was trying to work out if I wanted this like ribbing band on the arm or the faux seam. Anyway, and I sent that to him in March. So it's, you know, I am confident that I didn't steal anything. I'm confident no one has by any means stolen anything from me. And even then, like, art is derivative, that is the nature of it, and we kind of have to accept it. But I feel like I should talk about it because this designer reached out, and I'm always really transparent about the process, I think. At least I try to be. So yeah, I will link them below. Their pattern is called the Wren sweater. They also have a t-shirt version. I think there's this moss stitch, which is a little bit different to this, but it's a very similar look. And I don't know if the test call is still open, but if you would like to test it, maybe drop them a message. Yeah, bit of a weird one. Don't really know how I'm handling it. Don't know if I'm doing this very well, but thought I'd be open about it anyway. And yeah, there's no beef with the designer. We had a chat about it. We talked about how they're quite similar. We talked about the differences. We talked about how this happened. So like, it's not a, you know, there's no, I don't think there's any negative vibes. But yeah, so that's my 6 season sweater. I do have the window open because I thought it's probably too warm to wear this inside, but I do want to wear this for the whole podcast. So it's doing a good job. And I get to wear it for the whole podcast now. So I'm thinking with the second one, this has got a folded over neckline, and it is, like I said, inspired by like a fisherman's Gansey. I'm thinking of having the second one and not folding the neckline over and having it as like an open neck and having it a bit longer. TBD. And the good thing is that I can decide that at a later date. Like, I can decide about the neck. I can just knit the neck and not fold it down, and if I do want to, I can just fold it down. So I have options. So yeah, if you'd like to test out the 6 season sweater, you can send it below. It'll start it'll probably start towards the end of next week, like maybe Friday, and it will run until the end of October because this pattern is releasing at the start of November. There we go. I think that was everything to cover about this one. Okay, 14 minutes, we're doing fine. I was thinking, gosh, have I rambled forever about birthdays and things? I have not. Okay, where to go first? Let's go to my next most finished object. And this is another one of my patterns. This is the Leith Cardigan, which is coming out in a week's time. So it'll be my first like it's not really 2023 because I had summer patterns, but it feels like the autumn winter 2023 designing season has begun, and this will be the first pattern in that season. So I've shown the Leith before. I've got 2 other versions. There's a pastel, there's a pastel version with yellow and pink and blue and purple, and it is like Barbie's dream house. And then there's a second version in a dark red and a lilac, which I've only striped half. I say I had this one sample knit, I did not knit it. But it's one side is striped and one side is plain, and that's because there's an intarsia line down the back, so you can do different things with different halves. And then one of my testers, Kelly, messaged and was like, hey, do you mind if I do it in boucle? And I was like, sure, you do you. Not really realising what she meant until I saw her finished one, and then I had to make one for myself. So this is my boucle Leith. It is pretty low contrast. Like here, I think it pops more in person, but you can see that the stripes are all the same colour, but they are in fact 2 different textures. So there is the line. Oh, you can't really see the line. The line is there, so you can kind of see the intarsia. It's really washing out. Goodness knows how. It's not particularly bright day outside. There we go. You can kind of see the checkerboard blocks. So I finished the cardigan piece in that it is wash and block. It smells so good. Oh my goodness, it's going to be so cozy. I think this is going to be really good for just, I'm terrified I'm going to get it filthy, if I'm being honest. I'm really worried it's going to get dirty, but there's not much I can do about that. This with like a pair of jeans and like a white camisole I think is going to look so put together, and I don't often look put together, so I'm excited for that. This is done, it is washed, it is blocked, and I am currently working on the button band. It is a, oh, I dropped the whole bag. It is a double knit button band, so I'm just using the mohair and also did I bring it over? Yes, the yarn that I used, I copied Kelly completely. Like I messaged her and asked her what she used. The boucle is Drops Alpaca Boucle. This is quite a bit thinner than the recommended yarn. The recommended yarn is Cascade 220 or like Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool, which is 200 meters per 100 grams. This is 140 per 50 grams, so what is that? 280. It's quite a big difference. But I think because of because of how fluffy it is, it works out just fine. There are a lot of hand dyers coming out with boucle right now. I am so tempted. I don't know if I'll get through festival season without buying some boucle. Especially because I think boucle is hard to wear, but I think this is a really chic, like, I don't know, how do you wear it with it like a teddy bear? This is how you wear it with it looking like a teddy bear. But hand-dyed boucle tends to run at 200 meters per 100 grams for every base that I've seen so far, so I do think if I had the patience to wait to get them hand-dyed, I probably would have, but this worked really well. This just doesn't come in very many colours. There's maybe 4 colours and they're all natural. And then I paired it with this piddly amount that I have left of Drops Puna, I think it's called, which is the alpaca base, DK alpaca, and Drops Kid Silk Mohair. And then for the button band, oh goodness, I'm dropping everything. For the button band, I'm just using the alpaca and the mohair. It is still like uber fluffy and lovely. I steam block this just because it does grow, and I do recommend in the pattern that you knit it separately. Some people are knitting it on as they go and having no issues with it. I find that when I did that, where I attached the button band to the body, the stripe was peeking through, and that's probably found in the boucle, but with coloured stripe I found that like you could see on that joining stitch, you could see the other colour. So say like if I was doing the first one with the pink stripes, you could see the pink peeking through into the button band, and I just didn't like it. I think it wasn't very clean. So I decided to take it off separately and seam it. So that's what I've done here, and that means that I could steam, I've blocked this fully, it means I can steam block this as I go, and that also means that I know how long it has to be. So the button band takes ages. It's just the nature of the beast. It looks beautiful when it's finished, but it is so much work. So I'm taking pictures for this pattern on Monday, so that means I need to have this finished by Monday. So this button band is my focus for the weekend. I think I've got Monday off, and I think on Monday I'll be sewing the button band on. But I am almost at the shoulder. So far I've done like this much worth, and I have to do this much worth of button band. Oh, it's fine. I can do this whilst I'm reading, which has been quite handy. Not super smoothly, but I can do it. And there's a rugby game on tonight. The All Blacks are playing South Africa, so we will be watching that, and I'm thinking this will be my rugby watching project. My goal, so yesterday I put a stitch marker in. My goal today is to double this, so like when I fold it over there, it will be the full width. That's my goal. And I think that will be like 2/3 of it done, and then hopefully just one more tomorrow. Maybe Sunday. I don't know if I'll do any tomorrow. It is her birthday. I will knit on whatever I want to knit on. So that is a Leith cardigan. Yeah, my plan is for it to come out on the 1st of September, which is next Friday. However, I am working with my lovely photographer again, who is on maternity leave, and she has given me a pre-warning that she's not like she's just doing it out of the kindness of her heart because she's on maternity leave, and she said that she might not get the pictures ready for Friday, and I said that is completely okay. It's fine because the pattern is out a few days later. That's not the end of the world. So yeah, the plan is the 1st. It might be delayed, but that's okay. Cool. What next? Okay, I'll show you a fun one next. I thought I'd lost yarn for this project. I did not lose yarn, I just knit the yarn that was in the pattern and didn't realise how much I'd knit. So my next project is not one of my own patterns. It is very, very fun. I'm really enjoying knitting on this. This is the Gallus scarf by Amy Pellico of The Meaningful Stitch. She is dipping her toes into the world of design and doing so in what she does best, which is, so far, cosy things to wrap around yourself. So this is a scarf, and I think she's currently working on a shawl. This is the Gallus scarf, which is a word for like joyful, I guess, in Scots. And I think that's very well placed. Now I will say I am not on gauge. Mine, I think the pattern measures 25 centimetres across, mine is 41, so I'm like heavily wider, and I definitely think I don't think it's too much longer, but I think the width is like where it's completely off. I love that, but just as a heads up, it's different. So I've done a little bit last time, but let me show you. There are these like squares that go into trapezoids, not squares, nothing is square. Triangles that go into these trapezoids. And it goes all the way along, and I've just finished a section and I've got one more section to go, and then like the final square. So it's huge. It's going to end up being like over 2 meters, and in the pattern it calls for 5 different colours, so you top and tail it with the same colour and then you use different colours in the middle. I did not do that. It's a really flexible pattern, so I think you can kind of go wild with it, but what I did was just use 2 colours, just because I think I'll get more wear out of it in autumn this way. So I've done more of the beige and the grey. There'll still be one more grey one come in. But yeah, I still got more to go, and I can already tell you this is going to be so cosy in the winter. I am very excited. It's also at the point where I could almost wear it and knit it. Not quite, but almost. And this yarn is Camarose Senfnug, which is beautiful. It's the first time I've used it. I've heard great things about it before. I had never used it before, and I'm really pleased with it. We'll see how it washes and wears. I've used Drops Air before, which is a similar makeup, and I find it pills a lot. It's soft. I'm not massively surprised, but it kind of it goes kind of scruffy. I feel Drops Air. We'll see if this does that or not. I ran out of yarn, so I really thought, I knew I hadn't ordered quite enough of the white, but I thought I had one more skein somewhere, and I spent so long looking for it, could not find it anywhere. Eventually I weighed the project and realised that I'd already knit it up, because the weight of the project was more than I thought it would be. So I ordered some more, and I ordered 2 extra balls of the Senfnug so that I could make a hat in this beige colour. So my plan is to make a matching hat. I will almost certainly use the classic ribbed beanie, I think it's called, from Pearl Soho. It's the 1x1 ribbed hat. I like that pattern a lot. I've made 6 or 7 of them, maybe more. I will definitely make, that's what I'll make this in, and it's usually I usually use it for worsted weight, so I think it'll work fine. And then I'll have a real cute little outfit, and I wear a black winter coat, so I think this will go well with that. And yeah, it's huge. It's really huge. but it is super fun. And I will say, like, I know like the garter square scarf is that thing that like knitters start with, and then everyone's like, why would you do that? It's torture. This is a fun way to do it. It's all, there's something going on in every single row, but it's mindless enough that like you don't have to look at the pattern, you just know what's coming, and it's all done with short rows. So as you can see, this is my next section, and then the next one I'll work another square, and then I'll work like a closing off triangle. And where the short rows meet, you get this really fun, this really interesting detail. Oh, and it's got an I-cord edge. So yeah, as much as I do not need this in our wardrobe anytime soon, because it is still pretty cold, there is a launch party for this pattern happening at the Scottish Wool, no it's not the Wool Producer Showcase, Scottish Yarn Festival, formerly known as Perth Yarn Festival, on the 9th and 10th of September. I will be attending. I will have a little designer pop up there, so I'll be taking a whole load of samples. All my designs I'll have samples for, so if you want to try them or squish them. I'll have some details on like the yarn that you can use. I have a little discount code, I think, if you're attending the festival. And sorry, I got completely derailed talking about myself there. I was in the middle of saying that Amy's pattern will be launching there, so I want to have this ready for that festival. So I've been, I'm kind of on a schedule right now with knitting, which I'm not normally. I just have a lot I want to finish by certain dates, so you will see in the next 2 projects I've committed to getting things done by the festival, and this is one of them. And so I basically was like, these are all the weeks I have until the festival, what do I need to do each week to make sure that I'm on track to get it done by then. So my goal for this week was to get this one done, which I've done, and then my goal for next week is to get the grey section done, and then my final goal will be to do the last triangle in the week leading up to the festival. And I'm not sure about washing and blocking it. I'm not sure if I'll need it. We'll wait and see. It's going to be a nightmare to block. Sorry, I got hiccups all of a sudden. Where did they come from? It's going to be a nightmare to block. I know that for sure. So yeah, I might just not bother and then worry about that after the festival. It's so soft. Oh, this makes me want to knit a whole blanket in this yarn, which would be quite expensive if I'm honest. Yeah, it would be pricey. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I will wrap up in this and see how I get on this winter. But yeah, it really lends itself to like garter squish. I think the pattern is designed so that you could use 5 individual skeins of hand-dyed yarn. Which, you know, you see that beautiful skein, you're tempted, you buy that one skein, what do you do with that one skein? That is the goal of that one, but I think it also suits really well for like cozy fluffy yarn. Okay, where next? Okay, I've only got 2 more whips to show. We're doing well with time. Okay, so I cast this on yesterday, and again my goal for the week was to finish the yoke, and I finished the yoke, so we are rolling. It's in my very cute bag from Apollonie, who have released new bags actually. They sent me this one was gifted. I have however placed an order with them for more stitch markers, which I did pay for. I thought they'd be here to show today, but they're coming from France, so it's not a massive surprise they're not here yet. But they sent me a couple of stitch markers, a bag, like a few bits and pieces from the collection, so like a row counter and some stitch markers, and their bag, and I adore this bag, it's one of my favourites. Their new ones have got like houses on them, which are not really my vibe, but if they get more in, every time they do an update I'm checking, because they do a large one now, and I would definitely buy a large one. So again, Scottish Wool Producer Showcase, I have been collecting up samples, or not really actually collecting them yet, but just talking to people who have samples knit in yarn that will be at the festival, and I felt like guilty because I do not have very many samples knit in Scottish yarn. So right now the entire Scottish part is being supported by Amy Palco, who has knit 3 of my patterns in 3? Oh yeah, 3. She's knit a Leith in Wee County Yarns mini balls. She's knit a Corrin in Daigilpin and a Dorney in New Lanark. So yeah, and I have got none. So I felt guilty. So I decided to whip up a Tolsta, because you know what I'm like, whipping up Tolsta is just something I can do. And the yarn I decided to use was the Zakami. I really love the Zakami yarn, they are beautiful. Their colours are so interesting, very like nature inspired. And I've bought from them before. I have bought from them once before, but I've not bought from them online before. So I bought when they had a sale on a while ago, which was quite a big sale. I think it was maybe like 15% off for newsletter subscribers. And so I decided at that point to get some yarn and to knit it up into a Tolsta to wear to the festival. Now this is got a French name, and I'm not even going to say it. I'll put it on screen because I can tell I will stumble over the words before I say them. And in the pictures, it's got these like beautiful red and blue, like bright red and bright blue speckles. However, I've ordered it on the Cashmere base. It's Cashmere, silk and alpaca, and the colours have not translated quite as well to that, which I was a bit disappointed with at first, but also the colours I've got are beautiful, so I should not complain. It's just not the colours I was expecting. I do think instead it looks like some kind of like like painting of like ancient Greece. So this is my first, I also, that's the other thing, I definitely ordered too little yarn. I don't know what I was thinking, but I told myself I could get a Tolsta out of 2 skeins of DK, which I cannot. Well, maybe I can, but my pattern says I can. So I put a knot on this yarn and I'm trying to untangle it as I talk to you, and I am making it worse. I should need 600 meters for my size. I have 450 meters for this one, so that is a good bit shorter than what I need. So the logical person, I mean, would have, I don't know, done some lace, some eyelets to make some space, or striped it, or done something else, and I am not that person. I am ploughing ahead and will almost certainly live to regret my decision. So this is what I have left of the first skein. You can see it's gorgeous. It's got these like very pretty like pastel, but because of the cashmere, I think, or maybe even the alpaca, it's kind of glossy. But yeah, none of those bright red or bright blue speckles. It's on try-on cords because I just tried it on and I just flipped for sleeves, and this is the tiniest yoke you will see. It fits. Don't know how it fits. That doesn't look that small on camera. It looked painfully small before I split for sleeves. I've only just done like just enough rows, like 4 rows under the arms to be able to try it on, and that's what we have so far. I will say I'm liking this much more on camera. My worry was that I wanted something really autumnal, and I wasn't sure this was autumnal because it's very purple and blue, but actually seeing it on camera is making me realise it does look really autumnal, so that makes me pretty happy. So yeah, my goal this week was to split for sleeves, and I've done that. We started it yesterday. I think I'll be knitting away on this more. I've been reading, I read the From Blood and Ash series earlier this year, like 2 months ago, and I'm reading the prequel to that, and I'm demolishing those books. So I flew through this, to be honest, and now I've just got the body to go and some sleeves. I'm trying to work out what I'm going to do. I think there's still quite a lot here, so what I'm thinking I'm going to do is knit the rest of the body knit the rest of this up, and then, do I have my scales here? No. Knit the rest of this up, and then with the second skein do the sleeves, and then finish the body with the second skein, is what I'm thinking. Because I think for the sleeves I just need to do like 4 rounds maybe, and then ribbing. And I don't think I want the sleeves to be any shorter. I do like the sleeves, I don't want them to be too capped. I would like the sleeves to be reasonable length, and I don't mind so much about the crop on the body because I could always wear like a vest up underneath. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'll knit the rest of this up, then do the sleeves, and then finish the body with whatever I have with the second skein. It is definitely smaller than, it might even be, it's going to be much more tight fitting than my previous Tolstas, although my Tolstas are a little bit big because I made them before I lost some weight. So the Tolstas I currently have are probably, they still fit and I still wear them, but they're a little bit on like the baggier side, just like looser. So I could definitely go down a size. I am toying, like I'm a little bit on the low side of, I just fudged the numbers. I'm not gonna lie to you, I just made up the numbers as I went. I cast on the right number, and from there on I'm making it up, but it's my pattern, so I'm going to do that. So yeah, it's really beautiful. It's I'm glad I showed it on camera because I like it much more than, I was really kind of panicking that I wasn't a fan of these colours at all. But I do think it's very pretty. And yeah, and I'll have some Scottish yarn to wear to the showcase, which I'm really pleased with because I felt quite guilty. I do have a sweater's quantity of Nervus fibre, and if I get through this very quickly, no, I don't need to cast on another one. Maybe I will. I don't know. Okay, on the topic of Scottish yarns then, I do have another project to show. We're getting there, I've only got 2 more left. We're going to be well under an hour today. Okay, we are at the sexy waistcoat stage of this pattern. I have a couple of advent patterns coming out this year. They are going to be charity patterns, so purchasing them, all the money made from the patterns will go to charity. I think we're going to do the same charity as my charity pattern last year, which is the Fistula Foundation, and I'll talk more about that at the release. But that is the pattern. I'm going to have 2 of them. There's a cardigan, which is DK weight, and a shawl, which is fingering weight, and they're designed to be something you could use with mini skeins, but also just a pattern you could wear, like you could do it without mini skeins. So for the cardigan, I'm currently doing one with mini skeins, and the shawl are not mini skeins. I will definitely I'm going to ease off second samples because it's given me a lot of work to do for my future designs. However, this one will have a second sample because I want this cardigan in black and white. It's stuck in my brain, I need it in black and white. And I have an advent coming this year, and I'll be using the advent to make the shawl, I think, in an advent mini skein. But last night I got this one to the sexy waistcoat stage. So this is I've got so many ends to weave in, so just ignore all of those. This is the Daft Days cardigan. I think I talked about this last time, but Daft Days were the term used in like old Scots for the days between Christmas Day and Twelfth Night, because daft now means a bit silly, like, oh, don't be so daft, like, oh, don't be so silly, but also like, oh, I'm daft about knitting, I'm mad for knitting, I love it so much. So it's kind of that like silly, that's the kind of word, that's what it means. And calling someone like daft or a bit of a dafty is not like it's quite a sweet way to tell someone they're an idiot. But I just love it so much, and I really like sticking with my Scottish roots, my Scottishness, with my pattern name. So it's definitely, they're going to be called the Daft Days. So this is the Daft Days cardigan so far. It looks so good. I finished it quite late last night, and I've not seen it like this, and I've not even tried it on yet. So I should do that. I'm so excited because I've not worked this stitch pattern in the round before, and there is a purl row, which is expected on cardigans. I'm so excited to work it on the sleeves when I don't have a purl row. It's gonna go so fast. So yeah, this was a 16-day advent from Nervus Fibre, who is a Scottish dyer, Glasgow based, who makes incredible yarns. And it was the SADvent, which was from the 1st of January to the 16th of January. And I was feeling so much FOMO about not having a hand-dyed advent that I bought the January one. And then it sat around for a few months and didn't know what to do, and then this has turned out perfect. I'm super excited. However, one skein I pulled out for a different project, and one I found in a bag the other day, which I obviously misplaced. So I'm actually doing this with 14 mini skeins. I'm going to be tight on the yarn, not massively tight, but I think I'm going to struggle to get, there are some colours which have now been in 3 times, so this, starting with this green one, it's there, well not 3 times, but twice in the main body, so it's there, and then it's there again. So basically like these colours have all been used twice for a full body stripe. I'm going to struggle if I have to do 2 stripes on the arms with them, so my hope is that with the arms I'll only have to do that colour once. I think I'll have enough yarn, but yeah, so ultimately, yeah, if you're doing it with a single, if you're doing it with 14 mini skeins of my size, is a bit tight, but I think most people would do it in a full advent, and so you definitely wouldn't be tight for yarn for any size, I don't think. So yeah, so I need to get going with, I've got a draft of this written up, but I really want to finish this because I really want to take it to the Scottish Yarn Festival so I can take it to Charlotte at Nervus and she can see all our beautiful colours set up. I've got a little bag, it's a tangled mess in here, but I've got this little bag of all the mini balls. How do I show this without dropping them all? Look at that little bag of goodness. And what I did is I took the 20 grams and I split them in 2. I just have a scale, so I just wound up a ball until it measured 10 grams and then wound up the second ball, and then I'm holding it double. So I think it's worked really well. I think you can still see the distinct colours and like the variegation still peeks through. I don't think you're missing out on any of the colours that way. And yeah, my black and white version is going to look, I'm looking forward to that too. So yeah, it's pretty bright, but again, I think with like a t-shirt underneath, it's going to look really cool. And I've opted to like, I reorganised them to fade a little bit, but you could do whatever you wanted. You could knit them as they came. So yeah, that's my Daft Days cardigan. That's the first time I've actually committed to calling it the Daft Days, so it feels a bit weird coming out of my mouth. I'd be like, oh, my Advent pattern. So that's the cardigan. It's going to have just like simple ribbing at the neck, and it's round necked. It could be modified for V-neck, to be honest, but I don't have the energy to do that. I will let knitters decide that themselves. So that is the cardigan, and I'm aware that with Advent, sometimes people don't... With the Advent, I'm trying to speak slower today, and I keep reminding myself after having spoken too quickly, so apologies if I'm getting carried away. I am trying. The thought of like winding out the yarn into DK weight and knitting it that way does not in any way, shape or form bother me, but I could understand that it might bother some people. So, and that some people want to knit fingering weight, and some people don't like garments. And so for that purpose, I am doing something which I did not think I would do. I've designed a shawl. And moreover, I'm really enjoying knitting it. I didn't think it would happen. And it's a fingering weight shawl. Now I will say, everyone has told me like just wait until there are 300 plus stitches on your needles and then you will like it a little bit less. I expect that. But for right now at least, I'm really enjoying it. So let me talk about the yarn. The yarn, I spent a while looking for this. I knew I wanted to knit the shawl, but I didn't really know what colours, and I knew I wanted fingering weight, but then I didn't need like 3 full skeins of fingering weight. I was all over the place, to be honest. And then I was watching Marina Skewer of the Marina Skewer podcast, and she has a base called Mendip, and I bought some yarns on the Mendip base. So this is the natural white, and then these are my 3 contrast colours, and they are just, they're really, really pretty. So this is kind of like a charcoal grey, almost blue though, like it's got a bluish tone to it, and then there's a sort of like reddish pink, and then this actual pink, and I think they're all dyed on the grey base, which gives it kind of like that sort of dark heathered look. And so it's the same stripes, so it's the same sort of striping pattern as the cardigan, but it is on a shawl. You ready for this? I'm so excited. Oh, it looks so cute. So, oh, these colours are so good together. I'm super pleased with them. I'm not great with garter tabs, so there's a little bit of a bump here, but it'll block out. It always does. I have knit a fingering weight shawl before, but it's been a while. And so it's a simple triangle shawl. It has it does have a spine, which you can kind of, like a spine stitch down the middle. I've not quite worked out what the ending's going to be. I've got one in mind, but we're going to wait till I get there to make my mind up about that. And this sample's going to have, I think, just 24 stripes. But what I'm doing is I'm weighing the yarn after every single stripe, so I can tell you exactly how much yarn each stripe weighs, and that's going to be something I'm going to ask of test knitters as well, is to weigh the yarn as they go, which is a bit of faff, but I think it'll make a better pattern, and that way you can make a truly scrappy one. Because for example, I think I only weighed the first 6 so far. Yeah, so I've not weighed the yarn since having done these last 2 stripes, but the first 6, nothing weighs more than 2 grams. So what that would mean is that you could look for like scrappy scraps, like proper scraps to start it off with. And also, like, I'm aware that when it comes to the Advent, I'm going to use so little of this first colour that I think I will make my Advent one longer. So I think I will go to 24 stitches, and then I think I will extend it and do at least probably another 3 or 4 rounds with those first couple of colours, to make sure I can use up some of this colour. I'm using, my Advent this year is from Skein and the Stitch, and it is a Hobbit themed Advent, and each day is a different location chronologically in the books. So my plan is to read the book until I get to that section whilst knitting. I'm so twee, that's just so twee, but I'm looking forward to it. And this version has already been claimed by my mother. I don't know if it's because my mum's called Marina and she saw that I tagged Marina Skia and she was like, oh Marina, it must be for me. Or she just loves the colours. It could be that one too. But yeah, this one has already been claimed by her, and I think that's fine. I will be sad to see it go, but I think she'll get more wear of it than I will. So yeah, that's the shawl. So it's the Daft Days shawl. It's gonna look so cool. It's just a little bandana right now. So yeah, my plan, I had to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 stripes this week to stay on topic, and I've had 8 so far. So I've got 3 more to do over the course of the weekend, which I'm looking forward to. And yeah, pattern tester call's coming. I can't remember when. I've still got a little while for the tester call for this one, I think. And the plan will be that it launches late November. And I'm still trying to work out pricing, but I think I'll do something along the lines of there'll be individual patterns. If you buy them both, you can get them both for a set amount, and all the money will go to charity. So hopefully we can raise some money, and I have plans to match donations up to a certain amount, but again, I'll get all into that later at some point. So the only other things to talk about are my acquisitions. So when I was ordering the stuff to make the fruity accessories, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of like, it led me towards jewellery making stuff, and what I ended up buying was a box of jump rings, and I was like, I could make some stitch markers for myself. What I really want to do, and honestly might still try and work out how to do this, is like I'd like to have a open invite to knitters in my area where we could drink wine or your beverage of choice, eat snacks, and spend an evening making stitch markers. But I can't really do it as a workshop because I don't know what I'm doing. So I either have to learn what to do and then offer it as a workshop, or it has to be like a co-learning experience. So I might do this at some point. Maybe, yeah, maybe I will ask my knit group if anyone wants to take part. But I thought I'd practice first. So I ended up on Etsy. Sorry, I'm just laughing as I unbox these. They arrived in these cute little bags this morning, and this company makes polymer charms. Now I think you can also make your own polymer charms, but that felt like one step too far at this stage. And they've given them all to me on key rings. I didn't want them on key rings. I don't think I asked for key rings, but I can take the key rings off. And these are the first 4 to get started with, and I will say they're a little bit bigger than I thought they would be, but I'm not mad about it. So the goal being, I'll take them off the jump rings and take them off the key ring and put them on the jump rings. So the first 2 we have are these very cute little stars. They've both got a face on them. Where's your face gone? There we go. And then the second one is a glow-in-the-dark little ghosty. Oh, so cute. And then my favourite one is this piece of cheese. Oh my god. So yeah, I'm going to take off the key ring, and then I think I need to put on like a little jump ring, and then a big, I'll have to look at one of the stitch markers that I like and see how they do it. Because I don't know. Maybe I just need one more jump. No, I think I need 2 more. Yeah. But I have them. And yeah, I think I'll have to put like one little one and then the big one that will go on my needle, and I will have some new stitch markers. I might do this after I film. So yeah, that was my silly acquisition. If it works, oh, I realised, you know, I don't know if anyone does this, but you get yourself down a rabbit hole on places like Etsy, and then you've added things to your basket that you kind of forgot you ordered. I accidentally also ordered some polymer clay cutters, so apparently I'm making myself some stitch markers. I have no plans to sell these unless I get so overwhelmed with how many I make that I cannot put them on my own projects, but my current plan is just to make them for myself and hopefully coerce some people at Knit Night to spend an evening making stitch markers with me, because I think that would be so much fun. We have Knit Night in a local pub, and I don't, like, they're quite nice to us, but I don't know how they would take it if I showed up with clay and like tools. Maybe not at the pub, maybe somewhere else. Anyway, those are my silly little acquisitions, a couple of new stitch markers from Etsy, and yeah, I think it's really, I mean, I'm saying this, I think it's easy to do. I have no idea if it's easy to do. I've not tried it yet, but I have the how hard could it be gene where I think I can do anything, which is a blessing and a curse. That's all for me in terms of knitting. What else is going on at the minute? Well, birthday weekend. I've got Monday off as well, and I've got a day off next week because Sam's planned something, a day out of my birthday next Wednesday, and I don't know what it is, so I will report back next time. It's currently all a surprise. We will see. And other than that, it's just a couple of busy weeks coming up. I have got the Leith pattern coming out next week, so I need to get organised for that. I did a lot of the prep for the week before, but I still just need to like knuckle down and make sure that's all ready to go. The testing has been super smooth, so I don't have any massive edits to work through. I just need to like tidy up the pattern. And then what else do we have? That's coming out hopefully on the 1st. The Sunday, the 3rd, I think, I will be attending a spin-in at Sealy McWheely. I think I talked about this last time, but I went to a spinning workshop at Sealy McWheely, which is a Scottish yarn shop and spin shop. They're like the hub of spinning wheels in Scotland, and Katie, who runs it, was so lovely. We had a really nice 2 hours, and we did a bit of drop spindle spinning, and then we moved on to spinning wheel spinning, and I loved the spinning wheel. I really liked it. But let's not pretend that I can justify, like, I would buy a spinning wheel and then it would sit in the corner. Like, I think I need to really actively like commit time to it. So what they do is they do both a BYOB, which is bring your own bobbin, and a spin-in on a Sunday. So my plan is to go along to their next spin-in, and they do it once a month, and I figure if I can commit to going once a month and doing some spinning, like that would be a really nice way to get my experience up and get good at it and decide if I like it enough. Maybe I'll spin in the future, maybe I won't spin in the future, but yeah, it's also like quite a low cost way of doing it, because you obviously buy your fibre and you buy a bobbin, but you're not spending that money on a spinning wheel, and that is like quite a nice, relatively low investment way to get going and see if I like it. So my plan is, I have a pattern in mind. I have a pattern that is launching in a magazine in the next edition of said magazine. I think it's the winter edition, and one of the samples that was used Spin Cycle, which is obviously like colour changing yarn. And what I would really like to do is to make myself the version that I made for the magazine, and the colours aren't really my colours, and what I would love to do is make a version for myself. And I thought what would be a really fun project would be for the contrast colour, which is what the colour changing one is to spin myself up a specific quantity of that. Now the contrast colour for my size I think is only maybe 400 metres, so I figure that's quite a lot of time. Like if I go to say 4 more this, what is it, September, October, November, yeah, if I went to 4 more this year, I'm thinking I'll need at least the first one just to practice spinning and try and get to grips with it, to get something reasonable, like a whole day, and then hopefully by the end I'll have, I feel like 400 metres of yarn is not an unreasonable amount of like DK weight yarn. Spinners out there are like, ha, sure, but maybe not, I'm not sure. But that's my plan. I thought it'd be good to have a project in mind. I thought it'd be good to have like a knit project in mind, so that when it comes around to it, like I know what it's going to turn into. And yeah, so I've got that next weekend, and then after that is the Scottish Yarn Festival, which I'm also so excited for. I have a lot to knit by then. But I'm looking forward to going. I mentioned earlier I've got a designer pop-up, so I'll be taking all my samples, and hopefully people can come and have a look and have a squish and see what they like and try some things on. And if they want to buy yarn at the festival for the pattern, there'll be details on the yardage and things. And yeah, we've had a couple of really busy weeks. We had a few festival weeks. It is the Fringe Festival here in Edinburgh, which runs all day in August, and I read a Reddit post yesterday, I think, that said even the Garden of Eden had a serpent that attacked its residents, or like preyed on its residents. Don't judge Edinburgh during August, she's not at her best. And I thought that was so accurate, isn't it? Edinburgh in August is a bit chaotic. It doesn't really feel like my city, but we do still have like world class comedy and theatre to go to, so there are benefits to it. But it is a lot of work. It's a lot of people, a lot of tourists, a lot of busyness going on, and I'm kind of glad that that's on its way out. I'm kind of fringed out. I had such a good couple of weeks, and I'm glad that that's wrapping up. And I think that's about it. Is there anything else? I feel like I have more to say, but I can't think what it is, so I'm going to wrap up there. I'm going to take myself off to do some pattern writing this afternoon, which I'm very excited about. Go to my favourite cafe, get some pattern writing. Oh, I wore this sweater yesterday. It got its first wear, like out in public, so I wore it to the cafe yesterday, and I went there and I was just reading my book and knitting on the Tolsta t-shirt, and I told myself I was going through some work, but I knew as soon as I left the house I would not do any work. So I had my Kindle and I was doing some knitting. It was really it was lovely. Just had a nice little coffee, and as we got to leave, the cafe was closing a little bit early, so I got up to leave and I was packing up, and I had this like over the bench beside me, but I obviously had been knitting, and the girl behind me was like, "Hey, did you knit that?" And I was like, I did. Thank you. Yes, I did it. It's like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. I was like, oh, thank you so much. And then we're talking about gauge swatches, and she was like, oh, I've knit a few things, but like it never fits. And I was like, it's gauge. And she was like, yeah. She's like, I never want to knit that square. I was like, you have to knit that square. I said to her, I actually design patterns. I was like, so I get emails every once in a while from someone saying like, oh, this doesn't fit me, my gauge is off. And I'm like, well, if you've done a gauge swatch, like I can't really help you with that if it's a gauge issue. So I said to her, like, I've learned the hard way, you need to gauge swatch. And then she's like, oh, that's amazing. Like, where do you publish your designs? We're talking about that. She said, are you on Instagram? And I was like, yeah, I'm on Instagram. She's like, can I follow you? I was like, yeah, of course you can. So pull it up, and I'm like telling her my Instagram handle, and then she finds it. She's like, oh, I already follow you. And I was like, oh, that's so funny. She's like, well, I love your sweater. And I was like, thank you. So it got its very first compliment yesterday, which I thought was really fun. And actually on that note, we were out at a fringe show. We were waiting. There are a couple of central areas in Edinburgh that be turned into like bigger venues with lots of benches and bars and street food, which are for the rest of the year round student, like it's just this university campus. But during the festival, it's just a big garden, and they turn it during the festival into like this like fun space, and people come around and hand you out flyers to see their shows. And we were waiting to go to a show. We had a few drinks, and somebody came around with flyers, and she went to give me a flyer. She's like, oh, you're the Creabea. And I was at the table with my friends, and they were like, no way did that just happen. And she's a local knitter, and it was so lovely. But yeah, my spots in public have increased dramatically over the last 2 weeks, which are always funny stories. So they're my two funny ones. And of course my friends just thought this was the funniest thing. And my partner, messaged my mum and told her that it happened, and my mum messaged me and said, are you too famous for us now? Will you recognise us in the street? So I thought that was quite funny. So yeah, that's everything with me. I hope you've enjoyed spending some time with me. I hope you've enjoyed everything you've seen. Feel free to go and use the discount code HAPPY29 for 29% off for today and tomorrow. And if you're interested in test knitting the 6 season sweater, you can head over to the post now. I will speak to you again in a couple of weeks, or maybe sooner than that. Have some, what do I usually say? Happy knitting. Happy knitting. Bye.